something becomes clear. For Donald Trump, the most important of all arts are roller coasters. And he sets them up for the entire planet. Yes, such roller coasters that in the astonished open mouths of old Europe, pterodactyls managed to nest. The main thing is that Trump himself likes everything terribly. And it must be said, he can even be charming in this. He enjoys the conversation with Putin. He enjoys the conversation with Zelensky. Well, these are all roller coasters. You know, yes, that there are figures there. Turn with the bank, Lan. There's the so-called head chopper, Lan, head grinder. When is that? On a very short distance, the train glides by with people enjoying the roller coasters under some obstacle. There's a camelback. There's a lot of interesting things. And in general, it turned out, of course, that fire war is something that can be discussed endlessly. And it's already clear that the horror movie, Wakoroi, will continue, but now with cheerful, optimistic music. Everything will be very joyful. Laughter will be added in places like in comedy shows over the stacking of black bags, the tearing of bodies, and the burning equipment. In other words, it's a global carousel of death. In Donbass, it will be named Paths to Lasting Peace. Well, indeed, as soon as it gets this name, it will significantly change for the planet because it's very important how events or phenomena are named. So yesterday, Trump enjoyed the conversation with Putin, and today he liked it even more. He enjoyed the conversation with Zelensky. In other words, Trump was satisfied with another roller coaster session. Today, it continued with very steep twists. Well, how did all this start? And the world was trembling. The world stood still in anticipation of a pivotal event, a disgrace, a disaster, a turn with a tilt at high speed into nowhere. Because Donald Trump was supposed to personally feed the Kremlin cannibal by hand. And on the plate, as everyone imagined, lay bloody pieces of Ukraine's living body. And Putin was jumping around the plate, anxious and drooling. Old man Trump was supposed to decide exactly what the Russian cannibal could swallow and what he should not eat or should spit out entirely. But in general, whatever he was guided by at that moment, Trump, now we know that it's a roller coaster. At that moment, it looked quite ambiguous because there was a legitimate concern that in any scenario, the planet would witness the encouragement and feeding of the cannibal. And instead of driving the brazen Putin back into his cage with a heated whip, the president of the United States was going to discuss with him the quality and nutrition of the torn off pieces of the flesh of a European country. And there was a concern that he might even scratch the Kremlin ghoul behind the ear. And of course, the anticipation of this event already annulled all earthly notions of good and evil, and observing their conversation later and reading as a result of this conversation, of course, many were disturbed, had to be disturbed in their minds. Representatives of Homo, naive Homo, raised in certain, you understand, dogmas of human culture. Well, and accordingly, they were disturbed. We will simply find out about this a little later. Everything that was refined, cultivated, celebrated, all sorts of honors, justice, crime, retribution, everything was discarded. And as it turned out, indeed, now completely different rules reign in the world, absolutely different ideals, standards, Villainy ceased to be villainy and almost turned into a virtue. Although, if you look closely, when closely watching or listening to the conversation about Trump with Putin, one must not forget that the United States of America, while scratching Putin behind the ear, imposed sanctions on Russia in large quantities. They continue to supply weapons to Ukraine and provide it with communication and space reconnaissance. And Russia, of course, with regard to the USA, cannot take any adequate retaliatory measures, and is generally incapable